Welcome to another exciting episode of the Paul Brown Show. This evening, my guest will be Mecklenburg County Commissioner, our very own Mr. George Dunlap. How you doing there, sir?
I'm fine, thank you.
District 3 Representative. Tell us a little bit about yourself, sir.
Well, I guess the question is, where do I start? I am born and raised in Mecklenburg County. Went to public school here in Mecklenburg County. After high school, went to the Marine Corps. After the Marine Corps, I worked a little bit in race relations, and after that, I did a 27-year career with the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department. Retired in 2005. Simultaneously, I was serving as an elected official in this community. I spent 14 years on the Mecklenburg County School Board, and for the last 6 years as a Mecklenburg County Commissioner.
Mecklenburg County Commissioner, District 3. Why do you have so much of a passion for District 3?
Well, in Mecklenburg County, you have to live within the district you serve. And since I live in District 3 and have been for a good time now, almost 30 years, I've had an interest in the issues that are facing our county, and in particular, those issues in District 3, especially in light of the fact that our economic conditions are such that there are a lot of people who are out of work or unemployment or underemployed. And so when you look at the makeup of District 3, you'll find that District 3 encompasses quite a number of those people. Also in District 3, and one of the reasons why I served on the school board for such an extended period of time, is the fact that it is one of the districts where the children who are least likely to get an education reside. And so there's much work to be done in District 3, and I'm just proud of the fact that the citizens of District 3 allow me the opportunity to serve them.
I know for some of our viewers, they may not be aware of District 3. What are the boundaries that consist of District 3?
Well, considering the fact that our legislature, the Republican legislature that took control during the last election, drew our boundaries. They are vastly different than previously drawn. And so my boundaries include areas from Wilkerson Boulevard over to the Tryon Street area and up I-77 to the University City area, and 85 to the University City area, over to Albemarle Road, down to Mint Hill. So it's a very interestingly drawn district, but it encompasses nearly 150,000 people.
As far as that district, I know they have gotten a lot of jobs, businesses that's coming into that area, especially in the university area. What do you base that on?
Well, there are a number of reasons why I believe that jobs are coming to the university area. First of all, Mecklenburg County provides business grants, business investment grants, as incentives for businesses and companies to relocate in Mecklenburg County. Now, they don't put specific geographical boundaries on them in terms of where they should be located, but the University City areas offers one of the most diverse areas in all of Mecklenburg County. And so companies that embrace diversity are those that are more likely to locate in the University City area. And besides, there are so many different amenities that are located in the District 3 and in the University City area that a lot of businesses find it attractive.
I know you spoke about education. Why is it so important that our youth get the best education that's possible?
Well, I think when you look at what's happening in our country today in terms of the unemployment rate, jobs are more competitive. And just having a high school education is no longer going to make one eminently qualified for a position. In fact, we have people who have degrees of various sorts that are doing menial work because it's so difficult to get a job. So it's important that people are competitive in the job market, and having a quality education makes us marketable. One of the things I've learned since being in this business is that when businesses want to relocate to a different community, some of the things that they're looking for are good quality schools and whether or not the community has an educated workforce. And so we're doing all that we can to make sure that Mecklenburg County meets those standards that are required by the business community.
You're doing an outstanding job, sir.
Thank you.
Why is it so important that the adults go back to get additional education if needed? I mean, I know because of their pride or that they're not willing to want to go back. Why is it important for them to know that that's important as well as our youth?
Well, workforce development is really important to our community. And what we find is that it's not always necessary that you get a liberal arts degree or a college degree, but that you are prepared for the job in which you are to assume. And we're finding that there are a lot of other jobs, such as in the manufacturing field, technology, and things of that nature, that allows people to make an even better income than some of those people who simply have their business degree or their liberal arts degree. So if people want to continue to be a part of the workforce, then they have to prepare themselves for the job market that is going to be created and that will be coming to Mecklenburg County.
When we look at our job market and we see the jobs coming in, how does that make you feel as that Mecklenburg County Commissioner representing that district, District 3?
Well, I'm quite excited about that for a number of reasons. When businesses relocate to Mecklenburg County, what it does for the private citizens, you and I, is that it helps reduce our tax burden as taxpayers. The business community contributes heavily to our tax base, and for as many businesses as we can get to locate in Mecklenburg County, that means that when there are additional needs in our community, that we have some support in terms of meeting those needs financially, because the business community is there to support it.
Getting back to Commissioner Dunlap and your political field, what made you decide to run for politics?
Well, that's well, we're going way back now. At the time, I was a single parent of a son.
Okay.
And he went to school, came home with an assignment, and I asked the question, why didn't you do this in the library at school? And what he said to me was that the library didn't have the resources. And that bothered me. And it was that fueled my fire for getting involved in education. And I did get involved in education, served on the PTA Council for Mecklenburg County, the PTA president, to help provide the necessary resources for the school. But what I learned was that Mecklenburg County had an obligation and a responsibility to educate its students. And if I got involved in education, then I could help channel those resources so that those students who had the greater needs would get an equal and equitable educational opportunity as those who didn't have those same kinds of needs. So it was that really got me involved in politics. And of course, after that, I went back to school. In fact, I went and got my master's in public administration because I wanted to understand not just politics, but how government worked and the relationship between the tax rate and the resources that are located here in the community. So ever since I got involved in that, I've kind of just been on this tear of making sure that Mecklenburg County has good government and that the citizens of Mecklenburg County are the beneficiaries of that.
I know you mentioned that you were a single parent. What experience did you gain from that? I mean, because that's an awesome thing to be able to raise your child up. And what did that bring to Commissioner Dunlap?
Well, certainly it brought a lot of fulfillment, the opportunity to raise your son. But I will admit that even though I was a single parent, his mother still played a role in his life, and it was important that he understood that he had two parents who still loved him even though we weren't together. He benefited greatly for that. Now he is Dr. Dunlap.
Oh, okay.
And I am extremely proud of him. In fact, I got a text from him last night about his family's plans for today. But I think children, no matter what the circumstance or situation, they're not responsible for parents not being together, but they still should know and understand and feel that they have two parents. I think it's essential that two parents are involved in a child's life.
And I know your son has to be proud of yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because you're doing a lot of things, you know?
Well, he is. It's interesting that you mentioned that, Paul. I was cleaning out some things one day, and I ran across a journal that he had kept. And this was a journal that he wrote when he was, I think, at the end of his elementary career. Okay. And it was a story that he had written to his students. And you have to excuse me because I still get emotional about it.
Oh, sir, go ahead.
But
I get emotional too, family. Go ahead.
In this letter, he talked about how proud I was of my dad and all the things that his dad does for the community and for the people in this community. But the thing he missed most was that there wasn't enough time for him. And so when I talk to fathers today, and I talk to single parents, one of the things that I encourage them to do is to maintain a relationship with their children so that their children understand that while there are lots of other things that you do in the community, that they are first and foremost. Now, the good thing about that is my son's a real mature person, and so we have a very good relationship even today where we talk to each other quite often, and he still calls for advice and stuff of that nature. But just having run across that without him telling me, it did something to me. And I think that every chance I get, I try to deliver that message to other parents and other fathers about, yeah, you have all these other interests, but you have this child, and while they might look like they can handle everything and they're well-rounded and they really do want the support of the parents in their life. And so I try real hard to encourage fathers, not just to be there, but to take an active role. You know, I was there for the football games and when he was doing his programs at school and when he was getting all of his awards. That was important. But what I didn't realize was the amount of time that I wasn't there. Right. And I think sometimes we tend to forget that. We think about the things that we do, but we don't think as much about the things that we don't do.
I know you were a volunteer for the Police Athletic League. What did that feelings when you saw those kids out there, you know?
Well, you know, that was an interesting time in my career, and when I was a police officer, I was fortunate enough to be able to work with young people for about 17 years of the 27 years that I worked as a police officer. I served as a school resource officer, I served as a DARE officer, and it gave me the opportunity to establish a relationship with a lot of these young children that my son didn't necessarily feel that I established with him. And for 10 years, a coworker and I created and established a learning enrichment center. We created a summer enrichment program and were able to solicit the resources to be able to fund that program. And even today, 7 years after I retired, that program still exists in the Police Athletic League. And I'm so proud of the fact that people saw the need and the benefit of that program and why they continue to support that. But there were a lot of young people, and many of them came from single parent homes who didn't have the father figure or the mother figure in their lives and just needed somebody to be there with them, somebody to encourage them. One of the emphasis we put on the program at that time was those kids who were latchkey children,